Petro Burkovskiy is the executive director of the Democratic Initiative Foundation, and he speaks to us live from the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. It's good to have you on the program, sir. What's your analysis of the attacks that Ukraine has been conducting beyond its borders, around its borders, close to its borders, into Russia? What's the messaging behind Ukraine's advancements?
The message is very simple. Since Russia attacked Ukraine, and this attack happened in 2014, and the full-scale war started last year on February 24th. And Ukraine, it means that Ukraine can use any means for self-defense. And since Russia is an aggressor and attacked Ukraine, the active defense of Ukraine means that the military targets and psychological targets inside Russia, they are legitimate targets for the Ukrainian actions. And by the way, while Russia claims that the Western weapons are used in the attacks against the Russian territory, that's not true. The Russian territory is attacked by the Russian people, the Russian citizens, who are members of Russian volunteer corps and who want to oust Putin from power. And these are Russian citizens who took arms and who are supplied by Ukraine, and they can make a regime change in Russia. And secondly, the recent drone attacks, these are not Western weapons. These are, in fact, Chinese.
Do you think that these latest advancements by Ukraine has triggered a sense of worry among the Kremlin?
I think that's not the biggest issue for the Kremlin. I think that the recent attacks inside Russia near the residence in the Moscow residence of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and in the locations where all the Russian elite lives. What does it mean? It means that the Russian people finally start to recognize that this is the war of Putin, this is the war of the corrupt Russian elites, and it's not their own war. Mm-hmm. So this attack helps Russians to understand that that's not their war, that's not their war, and that they need to change regime in order to stop it.
What about this much-awaited counteroffensive that is supposed to be conducted by Ukraine? Zelensky has been asking for more military aid, despite the amount that he was able to retrieve from traveling to his allied countries. Are they not ready enough to launch that offensive yet?
If we look at the numbers, and these numbers were relieved by the so-called Pentagon leaks, that Ukraine has successfully prepared 18 brigades, so-called assault brigades, that will participate in a counteroffensive. But Russia, on the other hand, have 40 brigades. So yes, Ukraine needs more weapons to match the Russian firepower and Russian human power. And Ukraine will choose the time and place for the counteroffensive. So nobody pushes Ukraine. And as you saw from the recent visits of President Zelensky to Europe, all our European allies, they are supplying all the needed weapons and in necessary quantities to prepare this counteroffensive. It can happen in summer, and it can happen in early autumn this year.
All right, the executive director of the Democratic Initiative Foundation, Petro Burkovskiy, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour.